Welcome everyone to this month's edition of OUCHI GOHAN. My name is Yoshi Domoto. I'm the Executive Director of the Japan America Society of Georgia, and it is our turn to host this wonderful series in collaboration with Washoku Iku and Table for Two and the Japan America Societies and Japan Societies, not only here in Georgia, but also Boston, Houston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Colorado, and North Carolina. So today we have a very fun holiday edition of OUCHI GOHAN, as we will be making, as you all know, Matcha Mochi Cupcakes. Say that 5 times in a row, right? And then also topping that off with Matcha Latte. And as we wait for our cupcakes to be baking, we will have a special craft instruction and demonstration, and we'll be making origami masu boxes in which actually you can put some of your cupcakes in too, as we will demonstrate a little later. Without further ado, let's introduce the world-renowned and very famous our instructor and chef and connoisseur, Miss Deborah Samuels. Deborah Sensei, yoroshiku onegai shimasu.
Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Thank you, everybody. Hi, welcome to people who I recognize and have come back, and to some new members. It's wonderful to have you here on our monthly OUCHI GOHAN program. OUCHI GOHAN means home cooking, home style cooking. And so we're not doing anything too fancy here, things that you might find in a Japanese home. From time to time, we have guest instructors as well. But most of the time I'm teaching the classes. And I'm from Washoku Iku, Learn, Cook, Eat Japanese program with a Table for Two organization. And I will tell you about that in a second. I just want to show you what we're going to be making today. Here is my masu box, and here are my mochi cupcakes. I put them in here. I used a rather large piece of paper, so I was very excited about that, that I could fit a couple of cupcakes in here. But having said that, these are mini cupcakes. Here is the regular cup-size cupcake that we're going to be making. And it's supposed to have this nice little crack down the middle. And then when you open it up, you have a delicious azuki bean paste in it, or the beans. The texture is mochi mochi. It's kind of sticky like mochi. It's somewhere between a cake and a mochi. So when people open it up or something, they think, oh, this is not done. It's done. It definitely is done. Don't worry about that. So you'll see that the texture is different, and that's why we're using the sweet rice flour today. All right. I have a short presentation, a PowerPoint presentation. It's going to talk about Japanese wagashi and matcha, and a little bit about ingredients that Japanese use for making sweets, and then we'll get right to cooking. If anybody is joining just now, please make sure your oven is on at 375 degrees. Okay. All right. So this is our OUCHI GOHAN program on Japanese sweets. And we're going to talk just a little bit about what Japanese sweets are and what's in them. In our programs, in Table for Two and our Washoku Iku program, we teach a lot in elementary schools, high schools, colleges, all over the place. So we like to not just be a cooking program, but a culture program as well. So we teach about Japanese culture and some of the different philosophies having to do with food and eating. When people come into the classroom, and teachers in Japan, teacher comes into the classroom, all students stand up and say, "Sensei, konnichiwa." So this is what we have our students do when we're in person-to-person classes. So you all are a little bit older than our students in elementary school, and you may already know a lot about Japan, but I just want to take you through a little bit of what we do. Okay. So what is washo? Washoku Iku is the long version. We shortened it to washo because it's easier to pronounce. So washoku and shokuiku is a combination word. Washoku is Japanese food, and shokuiku is food education. So we put these two concepts together, and we now have a program called wa shokuiku. And as I said, we teach in schools, libraries, boys and girls clubs, everywhere that we can, usually in person. During the pandemic, we went online, and this program, OUCHI GOHAN, was born. And we've kept it going because it really helps to bring so many people together from so many different parts of the country. So, nutrition, manners, appreciation toward food and the environment is all wa shokuiku. So, colors and flavor of wagashi. Desserts in Japan often use a variety of different ingredients, traditional and nutritious. All right. So anko, which are the azuki beans, and which is what we're using today, provides protein. Matcha, which is the ground tea leaf, provides a lot of health benefits as well. And shiroan is sort of the white bean paste as well, and it's usually a lima bean. And so these ingredients are found often in Japanese traditional desserts. Daifuku, dorayaki, matcha latte, ice cream, cakes and cookies, and shiroan makes those beautiful little tea ceremony sweets, nerikiri. All right. And in the US, we talk about how we eat foods differently than in Japan. We eat an apple, we just chomp right in. But in Japan, they cut it up and make it look like a bunny rabbit for kids. And so we talk a little bit about the differences in the way food is presented. And in Japan, something that is very important, meide taberu, you eat with your eyes. And so that is why Japanese food often looks very beautiful. If anybody's been to Japan, they know that Japanese eat fruits differently. They can be enormously expensive. Melons, like 10,000 yen, $100, 20,000 yen. The strawberries can be 25,000 yen. But you don't sit there eating a whole box. Dessert is 2 slices of whatever it is that you have. They also make cakes and everything, but the size is different. And that's how when you can eat sweets and feel that you're not overdoing it. All right. We talk a lot about sugar and where you find sugar. I'm going to go quickly through this. 6 teaspoons a day is 25 grams. That's supposed to be our maximum, but we're all way over that. So it's just a way to keep yourself aware of what you're eating, just knowing how much. How much is 25 grams? You know, and so we talk about what's in a bowl of cereal, things that we show kids, strawberry yogurt, and chocolate milk, 1 cup, 25 grams. There's your whole sugar for the day. Okay. Almost half of the added sugars comes from sweet drinks in the United States. We have a lot of sweet drinks and juices, not so in Japan. They give kids tea very early in life with unsweetened drink. Sorry, I'm just going to go through this very quickly. Fruit juice has a lot of sugar, and chocolate cakes is probably way, 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 way over. This makes a big impression on kids. Oh my goodness, it's that. Okay. So we like to push drinking water and unsweetened tea when you eat sweets, so you can have both as a balance. And the amount that you eat matters. You know, you can cut up a whole cake into 8 pieces, or you can cut it into 12 or 14 pieces. You know, you can get 6 or you can get 8 slices. And you can still have your cake and eat it too if you just make it a little bit smaller, which is what the Japanese do. Choose small portion sizes, good ingredients, right amount, and the right timing. Not good to eat a chocolate chip cookie before bed, even though that's what we want to do. So does little harder to you're not using your energy to digest it well, or using up those calories. So we are ready to cook. Just want to make sure everybody knows today's menu is Matcha Mochi Cupcakes with Anko filling and Matcha Latte. So we're using two pretty important ingredients in Japanese sweets. And let's see what my next slide is. Everybody's a little food allergies. You all are home, so you know what you're doing. And there we are. All right, everybody. So I am just wanting to show you the different teas that I have the matcha. I don't know exactly which ones that you got, but I will show you what I have here and a little bit of the differences. This is an old matcha that I had, about a year old. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. And you can see that the tea, once it hits the air, it kind of oxidizes and it turns a dark olive green. And that's all I had this morning when I wanted to do some testing. So I still got a nice green cupcake, but we'll see what happens with my newer green. So this is just a regular all-purpose matcha that you can use to make matcha with or cook with. This is also an all-purpose one from Kyoto. I bought two today. This is the less expensive one. And if you can see, and this is the matcha ceremonial grade. This is the one that gives you the brightest green. And that's this one, if you can see with the light a little bit, okay? It also has kind of the grassiest fresh flavor. And it doesn't matter if if you have the less expensive one, it's still going to be delicious. The only difference is really in the color, okay? And I wanted a nice bright green, so I broke the bank today. I got the more expensive one, something like $23 or $24, and this was $13. So just to letting you know for comparison. All right. Yoshi, can you all see me? Hello?
Yeah, we can see you.
You can see me. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. So here's my matcha. And I just wanted to show you that. You are going to need 2 bowls. And this always happens to me when you don't read all the instructions first. You can make a mistake in the order of things. And what we want to do is we want to mix the wet ingredients separately and the dry ingredients separately. So the first thing that we're going to do, and you want to mix, when we're finished, the dry ingredients are going to go into the wet ingredients. So you need 2 bowls. Make sure that the larger of the bowls is the one with the wet ingredients, okay? So let's start with our dry ingredients. And this is the mochiko that I have. It is Shirakiku brand. Some of you have Coda Farms, which is fine, and it's the one I usually use. I just heard that Coda Farms is going out of business. So buy all the boxes of mochiko you can find. But Shirakiku will always be there for you. All right, so what we have is 3 cups of sweet rice flour, 1 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of matcha, 3 large eggs, okay, 1½ cups of milk, and 3/4 cup of canola oil. And then the beans we'll go over afterwards. So this is the flour. We're going to put all of the flour at one time into a bowl. Okay. So I can't see you, but you can at least see me. There we are. Okay. All the flour gets dumped in the bowl at one time. This is going to make about 18 cupcakes. There we are. All right. The second thing that we're going to put in is not the sugar. This is, it's a little bit out of order. It's 2 teaspoons of baking powder. All right. I'm sure everybody knows how to measure here, but I go over this just in case. So it's 2 level teaspoons of baking powder. 1 and 2. All right. Cover this up. And then the next thing we need is 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to show you how the proper way to measure is, just in case. I never measure over the bowl. I make a mistake, I've got too much of something in there, and if it's salt, it's really bad. So I always teach kids to measure over a little plate so they can catch the spillage or whatever, and then you add it. Okay. All right. These things you all may already know, but I just go over them when I'm teaching. It's also very helpful to have a wire whisk, because we're going to be whisking these things together. Does anybody have any questions yet? No? Okay. The next thing we're going to do is measure the matcha. Now, I didn't mention it in the material list, but if you have a little mesh tea strainer, it would be helpful. If you don't, please don't worry about it, okay? This will work just fine. So I'm going to get the matcha. I'm going to use this one. And it says 2 teaspoons. You can add 3 teaspoons. You can add up to a tablespoon if you want to have a little bit more flavor. So I'm going to put in 2. I might put in 3. And so off the grid here, I've got my matcha. And now I'm going to put it into the strainer and just mix it like this. Okay. Is everybody with me? Please feel free to ask questions. Put it in the chat box or call out. Yoshi will help to answer. Ask me any questions at all. So that's 1. And then I have 1 more. And I can already smell that really nice grassy smell to it. So, there we go. Another one. And just going to mix that in like that.
So does putting the matcha in the strainer just keep it finer and easier to mix with the other ingredients? Is that why you're doing that?
Yes, and sometimes the matcha has little like clumps in it, so it smooths out the clumps. Okay, it smooths out the clumps. I'm going to put just a little bit more matcha in, and can't hurt. All right. And
Rich in
now,
antioxidants, right? So
yes,
healthy.
antioxidants, right. All good. And that's what, the matcha is the ground tea leaf. So you're ingesting the leaf itself. It's not steeping in something. So now we're just going to, I wish I had a bigger glass bowl. I just wanted you to be able to see what I was doing. But we're now just going to mix it together with a whisk. And the green that you see now looks very pale. But once we add it to if you can see it at all in my camera, oops, it's very pale. But you will see the color will pop once we do all of the wet ingredients. Okay. All right. So this is done now. I'm going to set this aside. And now we're going to do the wet ingredients. Right? Just move this out of the way. That. All right. Is everybody with me? Everybody caught up? All right.
Deborah, sorry, did you add the sugar yet?
No, not
Okay. Thank you.
sugar is out of order in the recipe. I apologize for that. It is
Okay.
out of order in the recipe. Now we're going to add the sugar. So 1 cup of sugar into the bowl. Okay. And actually, I think I'm going to get a slightly larger bowl for that. I just want to make sure so you'll be able to see everything. So that's 1 cup of sugar. And 3 eggs, 3 large eggs. That. Okay. Everybody with me? 3/4 of a cup of canola oil. One of the nice things about this cake is it's actually really simple to put together because you're not using any electric mixing tools, okay? I'm just going to mix this together a little bit now. We still have 1.5 cups of milk to add. So let's just mix this up a little bit. Okay. And oops, here's the milk. And now I'm just going to add the milk.
And Deborah, I think we have someone cooking vegan style. Instead of milk, do you like almond milk? Would that work well, or oat milk, or what do you think would be a good substitute for regular milk?
Excuse me. I would probably say any of those, almond, oat, something that doesn't have any flavor at all, is probably best. Soy milk would probably be okay. I am using whole milk. So just because I think I could use the little extra fat in this. But I've made it with 2% milk before, that's fine. And I would just go for whatever it is that you have that is not cow's milk. And we'll see what happens. Okay. So now we've got this mixed together. Okay. And the next thing is that we're going to start to add flour. Okay. And I am going to just take a cupfuls, and I'm just going to start adding. It's not a fussy batter. So I've added it, about a half at a time, and then it's a lot. I have halved the recipe, but it is a little difficult to have 3 eggs. I spoke to a friend of mine who is a professional baker, and what I did is to take 1 egg and weigh it. If you have a scale, the scale is your friend. And then it was 50 grams, and then I took another egg and scrambled it and took 25 grams of that egg. Or I mixed it and then put that in. So I was able to use 1.5 eggs precisely. Baking, I don't fuss around with as much as I would with regular cooking. All right, so that's about half the batter. And now we're going to put in the rest. Okay. And just finish mixing this up. Okay. Now, it says to use a rubber spatula. I don't know why I'm not using a whisk, but I'm just following my own directions. Okay. Can everybody see how green that is getting now?
Yeah, it's amazing how the color changes when you mix the dry and wet ingredients together.
Yep. Any questions? Is everybody with me? We're basically making a nice cupcake batter. We're making it mixed so it's clear. This is not a pancake batter where you want lumps. Try and mix it as much as I can. And see what a beautiful green I have. That really is. Great. Is everybody with me? Are we at the same stage? Right. My hands are now full of flour. Let's get that out. Is everybody's batter turning green? Can you put that in the chat or let us know if anybody's having any issues? But even though that's like a lot of milk and a lot of eggs, you can see how the batter has become nice and thick. This is just what the batter is supposed to be like. Okay. Just a little bit more. Right of that. And of course, scraping from the bottom and the sides. Okay.
So when do you know that you're done? The consistency, I guess, is kind of or is it the color or maybe a little of both?
It's a little bit of both. You've got a nice, very thick batter here, like that. I mean, it's not like dough, it's a batter, but you can see when it kind of smooths out, the color is nice and even. Okay, the bubbles are from the baking powder. And there we are. The rice flour tends to smooth things out. If you use rice flour sweet rice flour, which is coming from mochi gome, which is what they use to make mochi with, or sweets with. So it's considered sticky rice. Japanese rice, short grain rice is already what most Westerners think of as sticky, but the mochi gome, mochi rice, is what you use to pound the mochi for New Year's, and the mochi flour is made from the ground, even shorter grain mochi gome. Okay. When I was experimenting with this a couple of years ago, I have tried other sweet rice flours, but it doesn't work. It is the Japanese, or I think a Korean sweet rice flour would be the same. All right, batter done. Let me put that aside. Cover all your stuff. I've had so many spills of things, and I've wasted it because I was moving too fast and didn't cover everything when I was done. So I'm going to try to be good about it. I'm not the neatest cook. All right, let's get your cupcake tin. And I have cupcake liners. You're just going to put them all in. Okay. There we go. So this is a big batter. I don't usually put 2 racks of cupcakes in at one time. You probably can, but I don't know. I always just put in one and then put in the next one. So this should make about 18 cupcakes, possibly more. So I'm just going to start off with 12 here. And what we're going to do, get your sweet beans ready. All right, this is your Ogoran, which is the Suguan. And what I did earlier today to make life a little bit simpler when I was getting ready to do this was to take a plate, little extra plate, a small spoon like this, and then I just put little portions all ready. So once I've got this, my first layer of batter in, these can go right in, and I'm not trying to do too many things at one time. So if you have this thickened sweet bean paste, it doesn't work with the other one. That one you have to spoon in as you go. But let's just put this. So this is all preparation. This preparation can be done ahead of time if you want. So.
Have you tried doing this with other types of toppings other than azuki?
I've done this with strawberry jam, and chocolate chips. So chocolate chips work as well, but you can do with any kind of a jam that works. I haven't tried it with a whole fruit, but I'm assuming that might work too. Here we go. You could also do, if you don't have it, the one jam I don't think I would use is grape jelly. That doesn't cook very well. So I would avoid grape jelly when cooking. That tends to burn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, I'm going to do 3 more. Just like anything, preparation is really key, so that, you know, when you're ready to go to the next step, you have everything all out there for you, and you're not trying to do things at one time. You only know.
Ever since we have an interesting question. Looks like we have someone who's thinking of trying waffles with the extra batter. What do you think about that?
Yes, I think it works. I'm not sure. I've seen mochi waffles in where was I? Trader Joe's, but I don't know whether that has some regular flour in it or not. But do it and let us know. That would be really interesting. I don't see why not. It's loose. It's looser than a pancake batter. So go on the lower side, I would say, but that's a great idea to try. All right, so now I'm going to get out a small 1/4 cup measure, and I'm just going to put the batter in with my 1/4 cup measure, if I can find it.
Deborah, we have another comment while you do that.
Yes.
We have someone whose batter is a little runny. Should it be running off the spoon?
Yeah, look, see, is that how it is? Can you see mine?
So it is okay to be a little runny like that.
Yes, yes. And when I made this with cake flour earlier, it was runnier than this, and I still got a cupcake. So I think you'll be fine. Did you use the exact ingredients that we have? Yoshi?
This is Donna.
Yes.
I had it's Bob's Red Mill sweet white rice flour.
Aha, sweet. I haven't used that. Does it look thinner than this?
I think it looks a little bit thinner. Could you just let it run off that spatula or spoon? Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe just adding a little bit of cake flour to make it. I would say mine is thinner.
Thinner, okay. Try it. See what happens. Try it.
Without cake flour, just the way it is.
Why don't you try making a couple of them without, okay? And let's see what happens. It cooks for
Okay.
25 minutes, all right? I don't know what would happen if you add cake flour, and I'd hate to see you ruin a whole thing. The only thing that I might recommend is that you add a little bit more of the rice flour. Do you have more of the rice flour?
Yes,
Okay. Why don't you sprinkle in some more of that?
I will do that. Thank you.
Maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons, all right? Okay, so let's start adding our batter. It's about halfway up, just a little bit more than halfway up. Okay. Good. I assume if you had a big giant mixing bowl with a spout, you could put it in there and pour, but I'm going with, I think, what most people have in their homes. Right?
Do these cupcakes rise more than regular cupcakes, Deborah Sensei, or about the same?
This has 2 teaspoons of baking powder in it, so it's going to rise a bit, but it doesn't like rise and run over. It domes. What I've noticed is that it domes, but that's why we're putting in just a little bit more than a half now. Then we're going to add, after that, we're going to add the azuki, the tsubuan, and then we're going to add another little tablespoon of batter on top of that. Okay. Go. It's, there are so many different, I didn't realize Bob's had rice flour. Donna, can you tell me the name of the rice flour again that you used? Does it say sweet rice flour?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And Bob's Red Bull actually had 2. So the other package did not say sweet.
Right, good. You bought the right one, because the other one would not do this. It does not make it like the mochi.
And the batter looks better. I added maybe
Good.
2 tablespoons more.
All right. Now we're going to add the bean paste here. It's right in the middle. Sort of a generous teaspoon, I would say. This is also a great way to introduce a new ingredient to kids. I know when I first went to Japan, 1972, as a 20-year-old college student, I didn't like Japanese sweets. I didn't like this bean paste. I just could not, it just wasn't familiar to me. But I have certainly grown to love it over the years. But so anything sweet is a great way to introduce something to kids. All right, and now I'm going to use a tablespoon, and this looks a little fussy, and put that on top. Okay. Okay. I will say that this is a very beautiful green color. And I can see the difference in using this ceremonial grade. And of course, we'll be using it for our latte. I have so much batter, it looks like we may get 24 cupcakes for this. Now, the other thing about this is these cupcakes don't last very long. Something about the rice, the mochi flavor, mochi doesn't last very long. And I have frozen them. And then when I didn't defrost them, I just put them in the microwave for 30 seconds. And they were good if you ate them right away. So if you've got a holiday party, get them to eat most of these cupcakes. These are good as is for about 2 days, 2 to 3 days. That's why I'm trying to learn how to cut the recipe in half. And I don't know how to do half, with 3 eggs. That's a challenge, as I said. Okay. Got all mine covered. You want to make sure these are covered.
Now, this isn't like cookie dough, and you don't recommend kids to be licking the spoon after this, right?
Absolutely not. And even with cookie dough, if there are raw eggs in it, no one should be licking the spoon. That is, in these days, a no-no with, eating raw eggs in the United States. But unfortunately, no licking cookie batters or cake batters as much as we want to. All right. So I am now ready to put mine in the oven, and I'm just doing 12 now, and it'll be 25 minutes. We're going to make our masu box, and if you want to afterwards, by all means, put the rest of it in. But for now, if you could just do 12, that would be great. It would kind of keep us all together in terms of timing. All right. Into the oven. 25 minutes.
Hopefully everyone's oven's at 375 by now.
Yep. Okay. The recipe says 25 to 30 minutes. And I always go with the lower one. And if I need more time, I can add more time, but you can't take away time. All right. I am going to switch my camera now. All right. So everybody should have their cupcakes in the oven. Does anybody have any questions before I see the screen to our box making? Everybody okay?
I was going to add, have you ever tried the mochi that's like dried mochi?
Yes, shiratamako, not with this.
Right. But the lady asked about the waffles. This worked really good on a George Foreman waffle iron. It has to be Teflon coated.
You mean with those
Yeah, that dried.
shiratamako? Really?
They just call this organic sweet brown rice mochi. But so the waffle, yes, it's very good in the waffle iron for the hard dried mochi.
What do they do? You mean, but it gets reconstituted in like with liquid, right?
No, this is actually pre-cooked.
Oh, you mean the mochi squares?
Yeah, it puffs up.
That is mochi that has been dried. So that's already real mochi. It's not this kind at
No.
all. That is the real blocks of mochi. So you can put those in a George Foreman grill?
Yeah, the waffle section. Yeah.
Okay. That's a great tip. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Yoshi, I'm going to hand it over to Sophie.
All right. Well, at this time, we'd like to introduce our local artist and craft guru, Miss Sophie Monsibias, who will be demonstrating how to make origami masu boxes. Sophie, you want to take it away and show us how to make the origami boxes with us?
It's great to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming here. So my name is Sophie. I've been doing stuff with JSG for a couple years now. I was formerly an intern, and now I love JSG, so whenever they ask me if I want to help out with something, I do. I have done some workshops with them. We did a couple shibori workshops, and those were really fun. So today we're going to be doing origami. So the little origami box that we'll be making is the masu box. I'm curious, does anyone know what a masu box is? All right. So I looked it up because I was curious. So a Mochi box is something that they used to use to measure rice, like back in the day before the current unit of measurement, they would use this to measure rice. Of course, it was a different size. This is the origami size. And nowadays they'll use it to like drink sake out of. And that is something I've seen is like them drinking out of little sake box. So that is what a Mochi box is. And the tiny little version that we'll be making today is out of paper. So I wouldn't recommend drinking anything out of it. But you can put a very tiny cupcake in it. Or Deborah, do you have your giant piece of paper?
Yes, I do.
So yes. So Deborah went to the craft store in the paper section. They always have very fancy, very expensive paper. But if you get yourself one sheet, you can make a Mochi box that is larger and might be more suited to a cupcake. But I'm going to go ahead and switch to my little workstation, and you can see that I have put some little friends in the boxes that I made. So I'll be moving to my little workstation. Now, the thing with origami is that, like, this is the first box that I made, and it came out perfect. I was like, this is going to be so easy. I'm the master. And then this was the second box that I made. So sometimes the origami gods will bless your first box, but not your second box. And that's okay, because, you know, we're just going to keep on making boxes. And what was I going to say? It's okay. It's just paper. I also think that sometimes, like, the first one will come out really good because you're, like, really paying attention to the instructions. And then in the second one, you get too confident, and that's when you start to get something like this. But that's okay. We're going to make it all together. So I'm just curious, how many people will be making Mochi boxes with us today? I see a couple hands. All right. So let's get going. Whoa. There we go. Okay, let's get going. So I've got my paper right here. Sometimes with origami, you know, it always has the two sides, and in some designs you'll get to utilize like both designs. In this one, you're only in the end going to see one color. So the color that is facing up is the color that's going to disappear. So if there's a side of your paper that you hate, put it face up and you'll never see it again. All right, you guys ready? So for step one, we're going to do something very simple. We're just going to fold it. And you're going to want your sides to match up as much as possible. I think the key to getting this really like crisp and making things easy for yourself is just getting it to match up very evenly and getting your lines nice and visible, because later on the lines are going to like really matter. You're gonna get a call back to previous lines. So that is our first step. I'm gonna try to turn a light on and hopefully. All right.
Or pencil.
So that is our first fold.
Sure, paper.
Go ahead and open that up. Expose the side of the paper that you don't like. And then you're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. And sometimes I'll use like the tip of my finger or my fingernail to help get that feeling nice and crisp. All right, so we've got our folds. You can go ahead and open it up and you'll see you've got a 4-way fold. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we've got this little central area in the corner, and we're going to fold inside so that all of our little points meet that corner. I'm making a red box today, which is I think it's very fitting for the holidays. And if I had some matcha cupcakes, they would look very good in my little red box. But sadly, I do not. So if anyone wants to send me some, and they can get here in quicker than 2 days. All right, I'm going to give you guys some time to make sure your paper is folded, but afterwards, we should have where you can open it up and make sure you can see all of those creases that you made before. I think this looks kind of like those fortune tellers that you made in school. All right, so after we've got those 4 folds in, you're going to take a little bit and you're going to meet in the middle. So you're going to take that outer corner and come right up in the middle. There we go. It's easier to see without the light. All right. And then after that's done, you're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. And since I'm leading today's craft, my hands are kind of sweaty, so I feel like I'm struggling. I'm struggling with the simple folds. So if your hands are dry, you'll have a much easier time. All right. So now we've got one long rectangle. And for this part, this is where I like to say that the box is angry at you. So you open it up and it's like, ah! Ah! It's showing you its angry mouth. So once we have it folded like this, you're going to open it up back again, and you're going to do exactly the same thing, starting from a square. You're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. All right, so we've got it folded once more. We're going to open it back up again and see how angry it is. Now here's where it starts to get kind of... Okay, yes. Okay, here's where it starts to get kind of crazy. They always make it real simple, and then when you come to the end, it's like, whoa. So what you're going to do is you're going to take some of these tabs in the middle and pull it open. Lay it back down again. See these outward rectangles? You're going to fold those in. And I call this the candy part, the candy phase, because I feel like it looks like a little piece of candy. All right, how is everyone doing so far?
I'm good.
I see some thumbs up. I see some nods. That's good. That's good. All right. So we've got our little piece of candy. Now here, I even pre-folded one to make sure I got this right. This is where it gets... So what we're going to want to do is sort of collapse it so that it makes the box. And these little corner folds right here are what's pivotal. So... So it's happening, it's working. I also pre-folded one. Make it a little bit easier. But once you start to collapse it in on itself, it will sort of make that box shape for you. If it's not collapsing properly, you can sort of finagle with it a bit. It's these little key points right here that are really important. See, ideally, this goes really smoothly. But if we're going to be realistic, it may not. But that's okay. Because if you've come this far, no matter what, you're getting a box. And if your box is kind of slipping open, then you can take these little tabs on the inside and tuck them in. And that completes our box. All right.
Hello. I've kind of got lost. I'm only here. I couldn't figure out what happened after here.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let me unfold mine. There we go. Okay. Are you here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you are at and you have the little rectangle parts folded into the middle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you're at the last, this is the weird part. So something that'll help is if you put your hands right here on the little point.
Okay.
And then you can fold in. Is your box starting to make the box shape?
Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Sophie, you're using regular origami paper, right? But I think you can still do this with like thick wrapping paper, or I know Deborah's using another kind of craft paper. But I guess thicker the better. Is that right?
Yeah, I think because origami paper's got like a little bit of body to it. It kind of feels like magazine paper. And then the craft paper also has some body to it. I think if you use something that was like too thin, it probably wouldn't work. But yeah, I also think the shape is really important, like that you have the square, because if you were to make it with a rectangle, it wouldn't work the same way, or you would have to do extra work, and
Yeah.
we don't want that.
To get it to go into a square, which is what I had to do with this. Nice.
Yay!
I will tell you, I'm a knitter, and I can follow extremely difficult instructions in knitting, but origami, I'm totally lost. I can't make a crane. I've made them 100 times and I can't remember how to do it. So I have to watch it. So I was really impressed with myself. I did this. Another thing about this box, you'll find a lot of Japanese take newspaper and fold this into a box and then use it for the peelings of, whatever, when they're cooking. And so it's like a motai-nai box when they're actually using it for that. So you're kind of, the whole idea is for reusing paper and things for something else. So you'll very often see Japanese fold these boxes out of newspaper and put them next to them while they're cooking. And all of the shavings, the extra stuff comes out in here. So yay, we did it. Thank you, Sophie. That was awesome.
Oh, yay!
Can everybody show their boxes? You've gotten them. That's really good. Super. Okay, well, keep this in mind. We entertained children, grandchildren, everybody for that. Okay, so I just checked my muffins. I didn't open them up, but if you look at them at 11 minutes, they're looking pretty good. The tops are going to have started to crack. Is everybody seeing that? Starting to smell? Yeah, okay, cool. So we do have, let's see, I have another about 8 minutes for this. We can start to get our things ready for the matcha latte. Okay, yay, it worked. All right, I've got my baking rack, cooling rack ready for when the cupcakes come out. But just let me, yeah. So here I have 1 cup of milk. I'm going to slide this over here a little bit. Sorry that the milk is white and the interior of the pan is white. So I've got 1 cup of milk, and you can use sugar if you want, or you can use honey. And I'm going to be using honey, 1 to 2 teaspoons, whatever it is. You don't have to put any in at all, but I'm just going to put that right into the milk and into a pan. All right.
That's the same whole milk you were using, Deborah, for the cupcakes?
I'm using whole milk. Yes. Whole milk. And I do have my whisk ready, because I am going to whisk this. I don't know if anybody wants to get fancy, if you have like any things to make that you make the milk, the foaming milk with, but I'm just going to do it with this, a pan, and a wire whisk. I have made it with this, but we're not baristas today, and I can't make those cute little hearts. But if anybody's going to do that, I want to see it. So, okay. And I have 1 mug here. I'm going to use a glass mug so that you can see. And again, if you want to, it helps to smooth out the little pieces in the matcha. Just put it right in there. That is half a teaspoon, so I'm going to put in a teaspoon. Okay. And that is an unfortunate color, so that you can see that a little bit better. And the green doesn't show up, but there's the blue. Okay. Let's go down. And again, this in here. Now you can take a little bit of hot water. We're going to use a little bit of hot milk to dissolve this before we actually add all of the milk. So now I'm going to just turn on my stove. Right, and I would say like as a medium low, and we just want to get this nice and steaming and mix up the melt the sugar or the honey in this. Let's see, I'm trying to get a different pan. So you can see better. All right, that's better. There we go. And it's going to whisk this. Like that.
Deborah, do you suggest to just make 1 serving at a time, or does it, if you want to serve a lot of people, can you make a big batch?
You can make a big batch of milk, and then each cup is individual. So yeah, you could do that. You could definitely do that. 1 cup of this is kind of a lot, but it's a good point. But I think you could put a whole, set up your mugs with a teaspoon of matcha in each one. Okay, good question. Right. Now we want to get this nice and steaming. 2 minutes and 10 seconds left on my cake. There. All right. So what we want to do is take out some of the milk, warm milk, about 1 or 2 tablespoons, and mix it in with the powder, with the matcha, just to get it to start to dissolve. Okay, and to get my spoon. Go. That. I'm just going to lift out some warm milk. You could also use hot water. And now you're just going to dissolve that. So it becomes like a nice loose paste. Does anybody have a foam maker, a milk foam maker? Is anybody using one of those that you would use to make latte? Anybody using that?
Yeah, it looks like a few people are using that. Miss Heidi is.
Oh, okay. So if you can see now, my milk is very heated. And I'm really whisking it and trying to work up a foam. So it's hot enough for me to turn off now. You don't want the milk to boil, but you want to continue to oh, okay. That's my timer. Okay, I'm just going to move this over, set it aside for a sec. And this is now almost ready to go. I'm going to bring back my now everybody's oven is different. So, oh yeah. How are your matcha cupcakes looking? Wow. So what I always do is when it's finished, I do 2 more minutes, just in case. So 2 more minutes in and we'll be done. All right. 5 minutes, 2, and go. All right. So while that is cooking, I'm just going to slide things this way. And what you want to do, just, okay, it's here. Now, this would probably make 2 cups. Is you kind of hold back the foam and you pour in just the milk itself, and then we're going to add the foam later. There we go. To the top. I've got a little foam left over. And now I'm just going to mix this in. Ooh, that looks so good. Wow. And the other day I made this and I put a marshmallow on top. It's really good. Okay. So anybody who's got their latte, frothers, now is when you would add the foam to the top. I got a little bit of foam out of this. And if there is a barista in the crowd, we'd love to see a leaf or a heart or whatever, if you're good at that. Oh, there we go. I've got to mix this more from the bottom. I didn't see that. Make sure that you're. Okay. Maybe a glass cup wasn't a good idea. All right. No, let's get the cupcakes out of the oven. Is everybody's cupcakes ready now? All right. Come back this way. And we're off. These are the kind of cupcakes where you don't really want the top to be browned too much. Okay, not the aesthetic here. So I browned it just a little bit too much. That was my 2 minutes. I just wanted to make sure it was cooked in the middle. Okay, so how's everybody doing? You got your cupcakes out of the oven? All right. And let me just close that thing. Turn it off. All right. Do your cupcakes, how are they looking? Okay. It's a little hard to tell. Normally, you would be putting in a toothpick to see if it comes out clean. But these, as I said, they're a different texture. I'm just going to put it in. I can feel it's ready. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's delicious.
Woo! You did it. Okay. I'm going to stop my share and let's see. I'd love to have a picture with everybody. Let me just switch my camera here. Okay. Wow. And these cupcakes I will take out of the
Good.
out of the tin so that they don't continue cooking, and put on top of that. Anyway, before that, let's all take a sip of this matcha latte and see what you think. Bye. Cheers. Oh, delicious. So you just save yourself $7 by making this instead of getting it at Starbucks. All right, so you can make your own matcha lattes now. And let me just slide this over. Go. And I'm going to take mine out and put them on the rack so that they don't continue cooking. They stay in here, the heat will continue cooking them. Just try and take them out. Okay, here you go.
All right, so that concludes today's edition of our OUCHI GOHAN Japanese home cooking event on Matcha Mochi Cupcakes and Matcha Latte. A special thank you goes to Miss Deborah Samuels and Table for Two's Washoku Iku, and of course our partners, the Japan American Society and Japan Societies in Georgia, Boston, Houston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Colorado, and North Carolina. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next class of OUCHI GOHAN Japanese home cooking.